What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about what university is really like in Canada compared to the United States, which is the only thing I know about. Only thing I've experienced. I've experienced university, college in America. That's something I was actually wondering about. I forget. Is there a big distinction in Canada between university and college? Because in the United States, we use those two terms interchangeably. They mean the same thing. Higher education, university, college, you can use whatever you want. So hopefully we're hopefully we're talking about the same thing here, but I think we'll find out real quickly if we're not. I think university is university pretty much, around the world for the most part. Anyway, that we'll cross that bridge when it comes, but for now, I'm just interested to see what the difference is between university in Canada, how it's different from university in America, because I did watch a video a while back about high school in Canada, and I was surprised. I was surprised at how many random little differences there were between high school in Canada, high school in America. Probably the same kind of thing going on in university. I can't imagine what that is, if it's the living conditions, if it's the education itself, going to class, how you register. I don't know. There's a lot of things that could be different, honestly. I don't know what we're going to cover in this video, but it should be fun nonetheless, learning about it. Sounds interesting to me. So let's take a look what university is really like in Canada.
Here we're just going to talk kind of about the differences of what it's like to go to school in different places. I feel like Canadians, I feel like Canadians really know the difference because we watch like all the American TV, but I feel like people in the States don't really know like what Canada's like. Nope.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I feel like there's probably a lot of popular American media, TV shows, entertainment, Hollywood, all that. So maybe Canadians do have a pretty good idea of American stuff, for lack of a better word. Stuff going on in America, university, if there's some TV show where they're going to college in America. I've never seen a show like that has to do with university in Canada. So that's true. That's actually true.
I like we should start off by talking about like the application process because that's a huge difference.
You just said process.
Oh, what do you say?
Process.
Oh. Well, already
There's the accent.
there's two different streams.
Oh, is the girl on the right Canadian? And the girl on the left American? Maybe? Because they're talking about each other's accents. Anyway, let's see.
There's university or college. We have.
Oh, what?
Well, already
There's the accent.
This is, I think she just said exactly what I was hoping they would say.
There's two different streams. There's university or college.
We have college, community college, and university. And college and we call it 4-year and 2-year colleges.
Ours are all universities 4 years. For us, and college is like anywhere from 2 to 4.
2-year.
Okay. It seems like, just based on what she's saying here, maybe I'm reading into it too much, but already in Canada, college is different than university. University is always 4 years. Honestly, in America, if I think about it, if you did say university, you would pretty much be implying it's a 4-year university. So maybe that is similar, and we just never think about that. I certainly don't. And college in America can be 4 years, 2 years. You can get a certificate, a 1 year. So, and in Canada, it sounds like when you say college, it's usually 2 years. Is that about right?
4 years. For us, and college is like anywhere from 2 to 4.
2-year
Okay.
like community
2 to 4. Okay.
college or just 2-year college, and that's where you get your associate's degree. 4 years where you get your bachelor's, and then you can go to like graduate school.
We do bachelor's, and then if you go to college, you get your diploma. So
Oh, that's different. That is different. So if you go to college, you're getting a diploma rather than an associate's degree. I think that's vaguely correct.
Ours is like super, super simple. All we do is they look at your high school grades. That's it. So they look at your grade 12 grades, and then they look at also your grade 11 grades if you're on like the border or you want early acceptance.
Wow. I can see. I like how they zoomed in on the American. She's like me, where it's like, really, just your grades. There's a lot that universities look at in America. They look at your grades, your grade point average, as in your average like grades throughout high school, your SAT scores, which is a standardized test everyone takes, and they also look at your extracurriculars, which is things you do outside of school, whether that be clubs or organizations or volunteering or research, things that you do in your free time that's just presenting to the college or university, hey, I'm doing academic, useful, charitable stuff outside of my grades, and take that into consideration as well. So I actually really like the American system because I feel like you have lots of different opportunities to showcase your skills if you're not getting great grades throughout high school for whatever reason, and maybe you finally get with it towards the end. Well, maybe you can study real hard for the SAT and get a great SAT score, test that standardized test, and really impress with that score, and do a bunch of extracurricular activity to show the college, hey, I did outstanding in these two things, and I did okay with my grades, and maybe they'll consider it a little differently. But if it's just your grades, that's a lot of pressure to me.
So you like apply up until like December?
That was an easy process.
Ours was-
Here, I am
you just
sorry about what.
Click on the internet, like enter transcript, and click what
The
schools you want.
application
Done.
process here stresses every college student out. It is the most stressful time of year for any high school senior, or even if you're transferring.
Yeah.
Depending on the college or university you're applying to, it's kind of different. We do have the common application, which is not all schools use it. I think most.
Okay, so they're kind of getting into the nitty gritty here. Literally talking about like how you submit your application. Most of it's online. It sounds like in Canada, it's insanely easy. But in America, there are like lots of annoying little documents and stuff that you have to submit, and test scores, and it does sound like Canada makes it, like she said, like one click, submit your transcript. That sounds amazing. That's how it should be. Very easy with the, with the age of the internet.
State schools use it, or like / public schools, public colleges and universities use the Common App, where you basically, it's kind of predetermined, like weird noise. I know. It's like predetermined questions and essays that you can, once you fill out once, you can just like send that to every single like.
That's right. I forgot about all that. There's so much little stuff. Like the colleges, the universities want you to answer essays to say, well, why do you think we should, why should we accept your application? Explain your life story, basically, and your experiences in an essay. There's essays you have to write, and oh my gosh, I had blocked out a lot of that stuff.
College or university that uses the Common Application. But then there are some schools, and it's very likely that it's like a private school where they don't use Common App, and they have separate essay questions for you to answer, including sending over your transcript. There's usually like an essay tied into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of variation in the United States because there's so many universities, and some are prestigious, expensive, where everyone is trying to get into just these top schools, so they have specific guidelines for applying. And then there's lots of universities where you basically just have to have a pulse. You just have to be alive, and they'll accept you.
Like it's
Not all schools are like
it's
that,
pretty rare that happens our way. Sometimes, like, they don't look at your extracurriculars. They sometimes.
Yes, we have to
don't
put
do
that
that
on
at
our
all.
application too, to make us more like of a candidate for that.
They sometimes do that if you're applying to like commerce or something like really, really competitive.
But here
rare.
that's really big.
Commerce. I actually don't really know what that means.
I feel like we should also talk about like basic tuition prices because that's a huge difference. Like, so my school, I
Oh, boy.
think I pay between 7 to 8, and normally like the most
For tuition.
Yeah, per year.
7 to 8,000 a year? A year, not a semester. A year, the whole year. That's amazing. That's yeah. I think America is. I don't know if it's famous, but it's certainly famous in the United States. How crazy expensive college education is. University. I mean, the top universities, it's like $50,000 a semester, $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year. At the affordable places, it's like $10,000 a year, $15,000 a year. It's wild. So you have to take out huge topic of debate and controversy in America that all of the people going to university have to take out huge student loans and get into massive debt right out of high school when they, it's crazy.
So, like, JWU tuitions, and this is not including everything else, tuition is $30K
That's
a year,
insane.
and tuition does go up, like, basically every year.
That's insane.
Okay, so she's saying $30,000 a year for where she went. Yeah, absolutely common. Yes.
And that's a lot. That's, like, still a high amount, but
That's a
it's
car.
in the middle between, like, a state school and then like a really good private school. But I know community college, I paid like $5K.
And even if it's international,
Exactly. It depends on where you go. That's the thing. If you go to a local community college or a college that's small and does 2-year degrees, basically, if you go there, you can get a great education in the United States, get a degree, and it could only cost you a couple $1,000s, which you can handle that. So there are definitely ways in America to get that higher education and not go into massive crippling debt. But for lots and lots of people who want to go to great universities, which, they should have that option, especially if they're really gifted or working their butt off to get into somewhere amazing, the cost is really something, but you can earn scholarships and whatnot to help pay for it.
student comes to like Ryerson, I think it's like 17,000 because the government subsidizes a lot of ours.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can also get like provincial loans on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
But like I could not imagine paying $30,000. Like, out of state's more expensive, right?
Yes, that's another thing.
That's not a thing that I don't think we do that.
So it depends. Private schools usually in-state and out-of-state tuition is the same for
Okay.
most private schools. I think so.
Yes, that is a whole thing. If you want to go to a college or university outside of your state, it costs more. For some reason. No one really knows.
I can't say it for all because I haven't looked at all of them, but that's what I've come across. And then if it's a state school, in-state and out-of-state tuition is obviously
Very
a little different. So that's another thing, and that's probably why I didn't. Now that I'm like remembering.
It's almost like they're trying to incentivize students to come within the state that the university is located in. Like they want to give better treatment to the local population. So maybe that's kind of has something to do with it.
Why I didn't apply to like all out-of-state schools, because once I realized the price of college, I didn't want to apply to like
You have to pay to each school you apply to.
not some schools charge you, some schools don't.
See, ours is like you apply on like this Ontario government website, and for like I think it was about $150, you get to pick 3 schools you apply to.
Yeah,
So I only
like
applied to
that.
3, and then I think you can apply up to 5, and they charge you $50 extra per school.
Yeah, every college is
Okay.
different with how much they charge you.
Okay.
Some colleges,
Yeah, it's all I'm learning about the United States and Canada is that the US is like way more chaotic. Nothing is standardized. Everything is like, oh, the application fee. Who knows? The tuition. Nobody knows. It could be anything. Well, what? How do they set that? They just do whatever they want. No, it's no rhyme or reason to it all.
Like, I don't think they will charge you anything. Some $50, some $30. Like,
I guess it depends on how many applicants they
oh my
get.
god, this is bringing back so many memories because I'm just thinking about my senior year in high school and being so overwhelmed with how much everything cost.
Yeah.
Including applications.
And that's so hard because, like, you're applying to something you don't know you're going to get into.
Yeah, and it's also different.
Well, it's hard also because, and maybe she's about to say this, but because you're so young. You're just a little kid. I mean, you don't feel like it. You're 18 at that point. Not a kid, but young adult. You have not experienced a lot in the way of finances and the ramifications of loans and payments, and that has not been a part of your life yet as an adult. So making these enormous life-changing decisions and talking about huge sums of money that you might have to pay is not something. Well, the problem is you're not taught. There's no finance class or anything in the US. There should be a class or something in high school which just teaches you about personal finance. A lot of people have made that point over the years. Teach you about taxes and finance and loans and payments, and get the students more educated before they make all these incredible decisions.
Difficult because like every single application is like most, like, depending on the school, is different. Like, you're not using the Common App for everything.
True, you're having to go through individual websites and
Especially if you're going to a private school, they usually don't use the Common App from what I remember. So like you have to use their own website.
We can talk about like trimesters because your school does that.
Yeah, so not every school does this though. So we have fall, winter, and spring trimester. The good thing about that is that we can,
I'd say most colleges and universities have 2 semesters, and then they have like one summer semester that's short, and if you want to pick up extra classes, most people go home for the summer or take off in the US. And so it's just the year is cut into 2 parts, 1 and 2 semesters. So I actually am not very familiar with this trimester thing.
most people here graduate a year early because of that. And if you're in a program where you can take 5 classes per trimester, you graduate a year early. At this school, it's
How many weeks is a trimester?
10 to 11.
Okay.
And then at this school, basically the minimum amount of credits / classes, the minimum classes that you take to be considered a full-time student is 3.
That's so low.
Yeah, but they also go by a little faster, I guess. Yeah. And the maximum is 4 unless you're in we call it SHARP, a program where you take 5 classes per trimester.
Okay.
If you go to
Well, I am glad that we're kind of getting into the weeds here about class load and semesters or trimesters. I don't know. I really have not heard much about trimesters, but as far as course load, I'd say most people tend to take 5 or 6 classes per semester. And if you want to graduate early, you'd have to take more. Yeah, they're kind of. I'm kind of interested in what the Canadian has to say about all this, because I already know most of the American stuff, but maybe this is interesting to some of the people watching too.
My community college, the most is 5, and they go by semesters, and they're longer
so
semesters.
weird. Like my school, the minimum, it's a 12-week semester. The minimum's 4, and the max is 7.
Okay.
And it's all like the same
Wow.
tuition price. So like each semester, I normally take 6.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's like similar to the US for me, in my experience.
By program 1.
6 would be. Lots of people take 5 classes. Some people take 6. I think that's about right.
I was to take 7, but I was like, I'm not taking 7 courses in one semester.
How many hours of class do you have?
3 hours per class.
3?
Yeah.
Holy moly!
It's a lot of school.
Wait, hold up.
How many hours are your
is
classes?
2.
Oh, ours are 3. normally the
And
minimum.
that's trimester.
Yeah, a semester.
And then
ours is
for
3
semester, it's 1
hour.
like 1, maybe 1.5. I don't know. I don't remember.
That's so weird.
But I know it's definitely.
Okay. I don't know exactly what the American is talking about here, but I think the common American experience is, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's maybe I'm the weird one here who went to some. I thought I went to a pretty like standard American college, to be honest. 5 classes per semester, 3 hours each per week, so 15-ish hours of college per week. Pretty doable, pretty easy. You could do 6, you could do 18 hours a week.
Definitely less than like 2.
Are normally like ours are normally like split up. Like normally you have like a 2 hour and then a 1 hour, or like a 1.5 and a 1.5. But some are 3. Like all of my business ones were 3 hours straight. And like my roommate was in a program which had 6-hour labs.
Like I'm taking a night class this summer and it's 6 to 9, and I thought that was long.
Oh, that's normal.
But it's once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's normal. Because usually, okay, if we're really going to get into it, usually you take a class and you'll have it either 1 hour 3 times per week, which would be 3 hours a week, or 1.5 hours twice a week, which would make 3 hours a week, or 3 hours once a week, which would be 3 hours a week. You can chop it up in a bunch of different ways.
Ours are only once a week, but it's 3 hours a week.
Oh. See, we have it twice a week.
Oh, so you have like 4 hours a week of the same class.
Yes.
Okay, so that makes more sense. Yeah, we can talk about living wise. My school was really weird because, like, my school's pretty big. There's 40,000 people in total. About that.
You live in a big city. So.
Yeah.
40,000. Wow, that is a lot of people.
And there's 7,000 people like in each year normally. Also, a thing that you guys do, we don't call them like freshmen. We just call it first year, second year, third year, and fourth year.
Actually,
Yes, that's something I learned in the Canadian high school video that I watched. I know this. I've heard of this. We have like a naming system in America. Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. And in Canada, it's a very, very eloquent, very nice, oh, year 1, year 2, year 3. Very nice.
we do that here too.
Oh, okay.
Well, at JWU specifically, we're supposed to call them first year, second year, third year, fourth year students. But just
See, I'm not convinced that this American here has the sort of prototypical American experience, because she's saying a lot of things, like how the amount of credit hours she takes, and how they call their classes first year and second year, and the whole trimester thing. I feel like she had kind of a unique experience, and I swear I think my experience was more representative of the U.S.
in America in general, we do call them freshmen, sophomore.
That like
senior.
it took me until like grade 12 to figure in like I guess your senior year, but I call it grade 12 to figure out what that all those were.
Yeah, I remember in high school and still not being able to understand that.
Because yeah, it's something we don't talk about. Living wise, so yeah, my school's pretty big. There's 7,000 first years when I started, but there was only 800 residence beds. So I go to like a commuter school because it's like in the middle of the city.
Here, I
Right.
feel like it's like a good balance.
So Canada has commuter schools where most of the people drive there and then go home, and then a lot of schools where you can live there at the dorms.
Because like I do like see, I don't know how many people are in the school, like I don't know numbers like that. But we do have a lot, like it's a good handful of people who stay in dorms and a good handful of people that live off campus, and then a good handful of people, well, I guess if you live on campus you're technically just a commuter, but there are people that like have moved from like New York to New Jersey.
Yeah, they like live at home or they live on their own.
So I'm gonna
Yeah.
call the people that live at home commuters, and
Yeah,
then people
that's
that
what I
live
do
off
too.
campus the people that live off campus. But
yeah,
from
that's
here.
how I would describe it too.
So
Yeah, I'd say this is all fairly standard. Sounds like it's the same in Canada. Some people drive to school, some people live there.
like it's a good mixture, because I know a lot of people who commute, and then I know a lot of people who live on campus. Like I find a good balance. I don't feel like there's like mostly commuters or mostly people that live on campus. It's like all balanced pretty well.
Also, what's weird about the states in general is like the amount of schools. There's so many choices.
Oh yeah, so we got state schools,
And like,
private schools, and there's, like I said, college and universities are kind of on the same level because they're both four-year schools. So it doesn't really like matter for the most part, and universities are usually bigger.
Yeah.
From what I
Yeah, still in America, people use the word university and college interchangeably, but definitely the more prestigious one is university. That has a certain connotation associated with it in America. University. It is bigger, grander, more expensive. It's going to be 4 years, so I will say that much is true.
like recall. I'm such a
because
big
it's
American,
so
like, I don't
weird,
even
like,
know.
what, like, everywhere we drive, we see, like, 10 schools, but, like,
Yeah, we
I
have
can
colleges in the
name-
most randomest places.
I can name probably all of the universities, like, in Ontario, and Ontario's, like, massive.
yeah, we have like
Yeah, I never realized there are so many colleges and universities throughout the United States. Endless, everywhere, all kinds.
for example, Massachusetts, I'm pretty sure they have like one of the best like education systems, I guess. And we have so many like different colleges in different places. Like we have obviously a bunch of colleges and universities in Boston because that's like the capital and the city. But then we have them like random places. Like we have it Bridgewater State University, we have Salem State University, we have I think Springfield is one, and then like some that I like Westfield, some that like I don't even know what they are.
I feel
or
like
they're,
every
little
town has
spaces.
one.
Yeah.
Or at
And-
least has like an affiliated branch there.
Yeah, because a lot of the times in the United States, even when you're still in high school, there's some kind of college or university nearby where a lot of the people from your high school will end up going. Like it's that associated with it. It's that close. So yeah, there's somewhere to go. Like in every town and city, there's somewhere that's kind of the local college.
It's crazy.
So I feel like because we have so many options, it's fitting for like different types of people, but it's overwhelming because I remember my senior year, I was
Like, how many schools did you apply to?
I honestly think I only applied to 3 or 4.
Okay.
And
But I hear of so many Americans applying to like 20 plus.
yeah, and that's because I wasn't even sure about college at the time. Like I didn't even know if I wanted to go to college. So
I think if an American applied to 20, that would be because they're applying to really, really nice, very competitive colleges or universities. That is not typical. Lots of Americans apply to 1 or 2 or 3, and they just like the acceptance rate is very high, so they pretty much know they're gonna get accepted, and that's where they're gonna go. Maybe it's a school in your state or a state school, state college, but 20 applying to 20 places, that pretty much means they are some of the most competitive in the whole country, and you're hedging your bet. You're hoping that a couple of them say yes, and then you can choose between like 4 of them.
I kind of stuck to the close-knit places.
Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed hearing a little bit about the American versus Canadian experience. If you have any questions, leave them down below, and I mean, I'll share the Canadian side. Maybe she'll pop over and share some American knowledge. I mean, most people watching this are also probably American. Most of my
Yeah.
viewership is. We're also vlogging, so I'll link my vlog channel. Is yours going on your main channel?
Okay. All right. Pretty good. This was by Katie Campbell, and I liked it. I did like that. That was a good little discussion. It did give me like it had a bunch of tiny little nuggets in there where it was like, oh, that's a interesting little difference. So I was hoping it would be like that, and it was. So I'm happy. Any interesting comments here? By the way, I like to look at the comments. Oh, I go to McMaster University in Canada, and tuition is $6,000 a year. Yeah, that's a whole can of worms. The U.S. needs to get a grip on how much we're charging for stuff. It is just insanity. $2,500 wow. $3,300 a year. I can't even imagine 30,000. Yep, well, imagine it. Actually, don't. There's no reason for you to if you don't have to experience it. It's a nightmare. Oh, here we go. In Quebec, it's a little different. I have 7 classes. 3 of them are 5 hours a week. 1 is 4 hours a week. What? That is so much. I have no time to even breathe. Yeah. That's like a full-time job. But I guess it's possible. Man, good luck. Okay. Private university in America can go to $75,000 to $120,000 a year. That is the absolute highest possible. But it is possible. Maybe that is shocking to Canadians, but not to me. That's something we grow up with, hearing about the biggest and best universities in America. Oh, $70,000 a year. But again, if you're going to those, you're at the top of your class, you're above average, and you probably have scholarships and grants that are helping you a bit to pay for it. That's very much a thing. So it's crazy, but there's ways to do it. Like if you're from a low-income family, you can still go to one of these amazing places if you get a scholarship somehow. So, it's nice that there are ways for that to happen, but obviously not so nice that it's an incredible barrier to entry for many, many, many people still, Anyway, interesting stuff. I enjoy this kind of thing, these kind of comparisons to Canada and the US. If you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more reactions, more content, feel free to click here. Me and my twin brother reacting together to funny stuff, entertaining stuff. If you're interested in some fun videos, fun reactions you'd like to see, click here. Check it out. And until then, thanks for watching, by the way, and see you next time.